Shabbos, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shabbat Shalom to everyone here and also at home this evening. We've rearranged some of the decorum, and I think it'll be really nice for our Shabbat service this evening. So we've got changes. This is the season for Sukkot, and we are having some aesthetic changes in the room in our sanctuary right now. So welcome everyone at home and also here. So we begin our service on page 2 of our Siddurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'halikner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the lights of Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom. Continue on page 8. I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics and no services, but I need them. Through prayer I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illuminate us all and to bring that vision to life. Continue on page 10 with Hine Matov. Hine Matov Manayim Shevet Achim Yam Yachad. Hine Matov Manayim Shevet Achim Yam Yachad. Hine Matov Shevet Achim Yam Yachad. Hine Matov Shevet Achim Yam Yachad. Hine Matov Manayim Shevet Achim Yam Yachad. How good and how pleasant it is that brothers and sisters dwell together. Continue on page 12 with Lechuna Ranena. Lechuna Ranena, Lechuna Ranena, Lechuna Ranena, Ladonai. Lechuna Ranena, Lechuna Ranena, Lechuna Ranena, Ladonai. Naria, Naria, Lesori Shenu, Nekadma Fana Betoda. Naria, Naria, Lesori Shenu, Nizmira Naria Lo. Lachune Ranena, Lachune Ranena, Lachune Ranena, Ladonai. Lachune Ranena, Lachune Ranena, Lachune Ranena, Ladonai. Come, let us sing joyously to Adonai, raise a shout for our rock and our deliverer. Let us come into God's presence with praise. Let us raise a shout for God in song. For Adonai is a great God, the great ruler of all divine beings. In God's hands are the depths of the earth. The peaks of the mountains are God's, Gods are the sea, God made it, and the land which God's hands fashioned. Come, let us bow down and kneel before Adonai our Maker, for Adonai is our God, and we are the people God tends to, the flock in God's care. Oh, if you would but heed God's charge on this day. We continue on page 24 with Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachim Hasharet, Malachim Elyon. Melech, Malachim Amlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Malachim Shalom, Malachim Shalom, Malachim Elyon. Melech, Malachim Amlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Malachim Shalom, Malachim Shalom, Malachim Elyon. Melech, Malachim Amlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Sefer Shalom, Malachim Shalom, Malachim Elyon. Melech, Malachim Amlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Continue on page 28 with Baruch Hu. Please rise. You'll notice that these stender is the Yiddish word. The stand that is here normally with the magical button has moved, so I will be doing something special.
Where did it go?
It's in the room right next door, so it didn't go far. Page 28. Praise Adonai, to whom praise is due forever. Praise be Adonai, to whom praise is due, now and forever. You may be seated. We continue on page 34 with the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. We continue with the V'ahavta on page 36. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha ub'chol nafshecha ובכל מאודיך, וחיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשיטתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושכבך ובקומך וקשרתם מאוד על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי וייתן גירושים לכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני Elohechem emet. Continue on page 37, the translation for the V'ahavta. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside of your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai your God. Continue on page 39, the translation for Emet ve'emunah. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. We continue on page 40 with Michamocha. Continue on page 43 with the translation for Hashkiveinu. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up, waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukan shalom aleinu bi'al kol amo Yisrael bi'al Yerushalayim. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Continue on page 44 with Vishamru. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'doretam berit olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'doretam berit olam. Israel, Oti le'olam, Oti le'olam, Oti le'olam. Vishamru b'nei Israel et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'doretam berit olam. Ki shesh yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim v'et haaretz v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'doretam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'doretam berit olam. Now rise for tefillah beginning on page 46. Please rise for page 46. Adonai, sefatai tiftach, ufi agit teilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'konei HaKol, V'zocher hasei avot ve'imahot, u'mevii geula livnei bneihem, leman shemo bi'ava, melech ozer u'moshiach u'magen, baruch atah Adonai, magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah, atah gibor le'olam Adonai, mechayei hakol atarav lechoshia, mashiv haruach umrid hagashem, mekakel chaim bechesed, mechayei hakol berachamim rabim, somech noflim ve'rofeh cholim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato lishenei afar, michamocha ba'agevurot, umidom elach, melech memid umechayeh, umatzmiach Yeshua, Ne'eman atah lehachayot hakol, baruch atah Adonai, mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shem hakadosh v'koshim b'chol yom yechalucha sela, baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. You may be seated. Continue on page 55 with the English for Avodah. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha-Shabbat. Continue with Hoda'ah on page 58. Page 58. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond works, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ucha na'eh lehodot. Continue on page 60 with Shalom Rav. Peace to Israel, your people forever. For you are the sovereign God of all peace. We'll now have a few moments of silent meditation. Customary this time of year, we change the words of our prayer for the Amidah. We recognize the new season that we're in. Many of you have been outside in these past couple of days, and you'll notice there's a cool breeze in the air. It suddenly feels very different, and it's preordained by God. It's all telling us this is a new season. This is the season of Sukkot. It's a season of renewal. It's a season of autumn. And look forward to welcoming that season with all of y'all here tonight, and with our holiday of Sukkot, which we'll talk a little bit about more shortly. Hag Sukkot Sameach is how we greet each other, by the way. So, happy Sukkot. Continue on page 62 with Oseh Shalom.
Oseh Shalom Bivramah, Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'imru, Amen. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
Yemeru, Amen. May the one who makes peace in the high heavens make peace for us, for all Israel, and all who inhabit the earth, and let us say together, Amen. So in just a moment, I'll be reciting names from our Misheberach list this evening. If there are any additional name requests from anyone in our congregation, either in person or online, I would like to ask anyone to please share with us those names after the names have been read aloud this evening. So for today, we have the following names: Ashley Blair, Joyce Cahill, Renee Lee Chandler, Harav Shmuel Ben Kahat Bekrembo, Chanashira Bat Yisrael Bethela, Marty Foster, Michelle Crafkin-Gary, Mills Hecht, Gerald Kent, Vicky Kent, Barbara Kibben, Lexi McCrae, Harold Osborne, Jonathan Peretz, Miguel Poniman, Vivian Poniman, Debbie Provisor, Colton Robinson, Maxine Schiffman, Linwood Spires, Steve Watson, Amy Webb, Ashley Wotana, Terry Potts. Are there any additional name requests?
Heather Horn.
Deborah Horn? Heather Horn, yes. Any other requests? I'll check our online attendance also to see if there's but I do see a lot of people this evening, but there's no further requests on there at this time. So with these names in our heart, in our mind, in our soul, we will now enter into the Misheberach prayer. The Misheberach prayer is on page 253. Page 253. discussion of this evening, I'm going to offer a Misheberach for those who serve our country in uniform. Misheberach l'chomeinu Yeshua v'David v'Devora Ya'el v'Yehudit hu yivaret et hayalenu. May the one who blessed our warriors of old, Joshua and David, Deborah, Yael, and Judith, bless and watch over our dear ones who are in the service of our country and our dear ones who serve in the defense of the state of Israel. Although it is we who send them into harm's way, we pray that you lead them safely on their missions and bring them home to their loved ones in wholeness and in health. Be a source of comfort to their families and bless them too with patience, courage, and strength. And together we say, Amen. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. Today is Sukkot. It is the festival of booths. Today we are commemorating our journey from Egypt into Israel. The holiday of Sukkot is exceptionally different from what we are most accustomed to and most used to. Usually on a Friday evening in our Torah discussion of the day, I would talk about our Torah portion in depth. And today's Torah portion, today's reading, it describes in detail the measurements and specifications of how to build a sukkah. Rather than dwell in and around those measurements, we'll be talking a little bit differently today. I thought it'd be nice to talk about how I connect and share that connection with our community to Sukkot with some stories. So as I understand, Sukkot is not something celebrated by everyone or even the vast majority of our congregation at home. And I would like to share some of the beauty that I find in this holiday in particular. This time of year, as I was once a child, I would always look forward to something very, very special. It was the time of the changing of seasons. And growing up in the greater Philadelphia suburbs, autumn was an opportunity for renewal of self. This time of year in Philadelphia, much like Columbus today, the weather began to always change this time of year. Most exciting for myself as a child meant that in October I would have a birthday approaching. And having an October-themed birthday, it was always the coolest thing to have as a child. It meant Halloween-themed birthdays and a beautiful season of changes around me. I recall watching the changing leaves as a kid in fascination. Autumn would roll around and I would look forward to trick-or-treating and to haunted houses, to hayrides. But in the back of my mind, there was also something else about this season, something Jewish that I loved and adored, and it was Sukkot. It really does make sense, though, if you think about it. We have a Jewish marker, and it is part and parcel to the changing of seasons. And as a child, Sukkot had a special place in my soul for this exact reason. And as an adolescent, as I grew, some things faded out and faded away. Eventually, trick-or-treating, it fell out of fashion, hopefully much earlier than like 12. And haunted houses, hayrides, they lost some of their magical qualities in the race of maturity. I slowly graduated to approaching the natural changes of the season with greater appreciation rather than the unnatural allure of magic or Halloween. And as I grew more older, I admired this beauty of the season, the changing of seasons. Despite these internal changes that were going on with myself in the stages of life, I still clung to that beauty in Sukkot. One constant remained in my life, even through adolescence, the most turbulent time in most people's lives. It's not an easy time. Yes, I still celebrated, of course, the birthday, but it lacked that charm, that allure, the simplicity that came with the innocence of childhood. In college, I continued to observe Sukkot, but its meaning, it evolved. It became something else. It changed. As I began studies in international relations, environmental studies became more and more relevant in my life. I found satisfaction in observing Sukkot as a way to reconnect to nature throughout college because of some sort of pseudo-political expression that it became. I remember during the holiday camping outside on our quad with my roommate in college. And it was special. The holiday, though, now, since then, has once again morphed. It's morphed in these past 2 years remarkably. My son has now begun experiencing the holiday, and we have been navigating the holiday in the past 2 years within a world of COVID. Today, I see the holiday as the single escape that we have. This may be the only holiday not heavily impacted by COVID-19. And in some ways, I feel this has been Mother Nature's way of speaking to us. For ages, we have exhausted our planet of its natural resources. We have brought animals to near brink of extinctions. We have created sin in the infamous wet markets of East Asia. And these sins, they have wreaked havoc upon humanity. They have haunted us as of recent. Everything we have created has been impacted as a result of COVID in the past 2 years. How many people can be in a room? How many people can be or cannot be wearing a mask? What we do and do not wear, where we may or may not be, have all been impacted. Yet the one thing that will persevere is nature. Our planet, it will need time to recover. COVID is a symptom of something far worse than a mere pandemic that we'll be struggling with for 3, 5, even a decade. We have exhausted our planet, and it has been exhausted and needs time to recover. Sukkot remains our connection that we share with our planet. It reminds us of our human condition being limited to this natural world. We can build houses to weather the seasons, but the seasons will still come and pass. We must not block ourselves out of this world and leave it inhospitable for others. It is something we must share not only with humanity, but with all of God's creatures. Let these messages ring out and ring from our observances of Sukkot this year. May this year be an opportunity for that renewal we need on this planet. May we be united as a community next year as a holiday professes, as it professes in truth, together outside and outdoors. And let those messages ring true with us from this year to next. Ken Yartzeits. Ken Yartzeits. Continue our service on page 282 with the Aleinu prayer. Please rise for the Aleinu.
Misheberach Radon Hakol Latet Gidula B'Yotzei Bereshit Shelo Atzanu Kigoyim Aratzot Belo Samanu Ki Mishpachot Chadama Shelo Sam Elkeinu Kaveh V'Kor Aleinu K'Chol ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יחיה אדוני אחד ושמו
Thus it has been said, Adonai will be sovereign over all the earth, and on that day Adonai will be one, and God's name will be one. You may be seated. Continue on page 285 with an English reading. Let the time not be distant, O God, when all shall turn to you in love, when corruption and evil shall give way to integrity and goodness, when superstition shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry blind the eye, when we all created in your image become one in spirit and one in friendship, forever united in your service. Then shall your realm be established on earth, and the word of your prophet fulfilled. Adonai will reign forever and ever. Continue on page 288 with a short reading meditation before the Kaddish prayer. When I die, give what's left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved, and if you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not in your mind. You can love me best by letting hands touch hands, by letting bodies touch bodies, and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die, but people do. So when all that is left of me is love, give me away. In just a moment, we will recite the Kaddish prayer on page 294. I will be reciting names that have been provided to me from our Yartzeit list. If there are any additional name requests to be added to this list, please do include those names after the names have been read aloud, either in this room or as our virtual guests will on Facebook Live. For today, recently deceased, we have the following names: Laurel Brooks, Betty Karalfi Weinberger, Melvin Satloff. Our Yartzeits for today continue with the following names: Ruth O'Reilly, Gay Leonard, Bertha Cooper, Larry Rosenstrach, Joshua Wesnick, Max Krieger. Are there any additional name requests from anyone in person this evening? I will check our chat box window to see if we have any name requests. So we have a request name for Chuff Griffith, and I don't see any other requests though. If it is your custom, please rise. The Kaddish is on page 294. Yitkadah ve'yitkadash shamei rabah v'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon u'yamechon v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael v'agala v'zman kariv v'imlu amen Yehei shmei rabah mevorach l'olam u'lamei olmaya Yitbarach, Vayishtalach, Vayitba'ar, Vayikroman, Vayitnaseh, Vayithadar, Vayitaleh, Vayitalal, Shemei Kurashab Rehu, La'ela Mikol Birchata Vashirata, Tushbechata V'nechamata, Damiran Yama V'imru Amen, Yehe Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chaim Aleinu V'el Kol Yisrael, V'imru Amen, Oseh Shalom V'mamav, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom, Aleinu V'el Kol Yisrael, V'imru Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to all of us and to Israel, to which we say, Amen. May their memories be a blessing, and Amen. You may be seated. I'd like to wish everyone watching us this evening a shout out, a hello to Gloria, Stuart, Eric, Myra, Harry, Chuck. We have a lot of people joining us this evening, so I'd like to wish you all Shabbat Shalom from home, and we'll conclude our service with some song. Ein Kelahenu on page 322. Ein Kelahenu, Ein Adonenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Goshienu, Mi Eloheinu, Mi Adonenu, Mi Kemalkeinu, Mi Kamoshienu, Noda Eloheinu, Noda Adonenu, Noda Lemalkeinu, Noda Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu. Now have a blessing over the wine. So I made this Kiddush cup actually out of wood turning, so it's extra special. Yes, made it wood turning, so I did a lot of woodworking, so I made this. The other one, which was silver, was having some sort of chemical reaction with the wine, if you can believe that, and it tasted, it didn't taste right. And every time after the service, there'd be like crystals inside of the Kiddush cup. So there was truly a chemical reaction going on. I have no idea what, but I'm still alive. But if I'm not tomorrow, we know why. No, I'm joking. I'm just joking. All right, the Kiddush is on page 5, and we'll do the full blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratza banu, v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava u'ratzon imchelanu, zikaron l'maaseh v'reishi, ki hu yom tefila l'mikrei kodesh, zecher etzion mitzrayim, hivanu v'amarta v'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha v'ahava u'ratzon imchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai mikadesh ha-Shabbat. That's way better, yes. It does not have that taste. Okay, and we'll now do the blessing for the challah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min shall rest. Amen. Okay. We'll join outside very shortly, wishing everyone here and at home Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Rabbi, I
Hmm?
think Debbie wanted you to dress up as Shrek tonight.
Yeah. Next time. Oh, actually for Purim, yes. You know, Shrek is from a Yiddish word, just to say, Shrek is a Yiddish word, did you know? Shrek lot zak, it means terrible, scary. Yep, so. Yes.
Are you blessing the Springer tonight?
Yes. It's got my blessing to move forward, so. All right.
Tell me, I thought Sukkot is the fall harvest. Okay, just wanted to be sure.
I'll see you outside in a second. I'm
No,
still
I'm sorry.
cutting the live feed.
You were so technically skilled.